the main harassment started in 1988, being referred to as an effing Indian. Conversations referred to as powwows. My wife being referred to as a blood cloth. Some people thought it was funny that they could put on a party headdress, a native party headdress that kids wear at parties, and make fun of me. And these are grown people that didn't see anything wrong with it. Didn't see anything wrong with it. I proceeded with complaints. I initially asked for an apology. It wasn't forthcoming. And when I took it to management, they wanted to bury it.
He has a very great sense of what's right and what's wrong, and so it was something that he had to pursue, and we discussed it, and I said, go for it, like something does need to be done. The mindset needs to be changed in the workplace, and made better for everyone.
I naively assumed that people would take the issue seriously and they'd want to take quick action to resolve my complaints. But what I encountered was indifference, incompetence, and the level of hate was totally unexpected. And that went right up to the top. I was just flabbergasted at some of the responses I was getting, that I was too sensitive, I overreacted, nobody else is complaining. But they don't take into account that some people don't want to complain for fear of reprisal.
Well, it affected us as far as employment opportunities and to advance within the ministry. I was looked upon as someone that was going somewhere and had the tools to do that, and being mentored by some, and that suddenly came to a stop.
Michael McKinnon was one of the boys before he stood up and started challenging them. He looks white. No one knew he was Aboriginal, really. And so people felt they had the authority to make demeaning racial comments about Aboriginals in front of him. And that's how it all started. He started challenging it to say, well, please don't say that in my presence. I don't like it. I don't appreciate it.
The evidence was also that it wasn't just unique to Michael. Of course, other people were subject to racial comments as well. But however, the mindset there was that you don't air your dirty laundry in public. And Michael was the only person who really had courage. I'm not the only, but certainly a very small number of people who've ever had courage to come forward and say, no, this is wrong.
And we spoke about the code of silence. I mean, it's a paramilitary environment where that code of silence is rigorously enforced. Because remember how the system works. No one wants anyone to say anything that would rock the boat. This is all our little internal secret. Let's deal with it inside. No one has to know a dirty little secret.
I was leery in that type of setting. It's a maximum security setting. You have to be able to depend on your partner. And some of the comments that I was being viewed as a rat, I was being viewed as like why are you bringing all this heat on us? We're all being viewed as racist. And the more I tried to clarify that, the more resistance I was getting. I was being painted as the problem.
He put the complaint in 1988. The tribunal, the process, the wheels of justice in human rights is very slow. And it's not until 10 years later, 1998, that he got the first decision.
The decision was a resounding support of what I had put forward to the tribunal. They found that there was a poisoned work environment. Our careers were being stymied, my wife Vicky and myself, and that the indifference, the incompetence, the begrudging of rights when we did put forward our complaints was astounding to the tribunal and to anybody that would listen.
Professor Hubbard, as the chair of the tribunal, found that a number of individuals were guilty of racism, and that the ministry as a whole, as part of the directing mind, the ministry was vicariously responsible for the racism. So Professor Hubbard put in a series of remedies for Michael McKinnon personally, and what's called systemic remedies, to try to clean up the poisoned environment. And the systemic remedies that he felt would work, and which are traditional human rights remedies, are to do training, to train the managers so that they'll see the error of their ways, and that way would eradicate racism. But that did not work. And when Michael McKinnon returned to work, he suffered incredible backlash.
When I went back to work, I couldn't believe the resistance that I was encountering. People making comments, and going into the locker room, I find that my locker's kicked in. And when I go to a manager, he says, "Mike, I haven't got time for this right now." I said, "But my locker's kicked in. I have to get into it to prepare for a parade." "Mike, I haven't got time for this right now." That's just, again, an example of they don't want to deal with it. They don't want to be involved.
Michael was subject to reprisal complaints. Everything he did, people put complaints in. And we're not talking about just a few. It would be like a series of complaints against him that each one turned out to be frivolous. And so basically what they were trying to do was drive him out of the workplace.
Socially, I'm an outcast. And at one point, I would attend the dances, the hockey tournaments, baseball, and that's all come to an end. I don't want to be a part of that team if that's the way they want to play. And again, I've taken a stand, and some people will not change. They don't want to be in the room when Michael McKinnon's there. They don't want even to look at me. They can't even stomach my face. Get up and leave a room.
So his second decision, we came back and we put in evidence about the systemic remedies were flawed. We put in evidence about how he was subject to reprisals. And then Professor Hubbard made a ruling in 2002 after hearing the evidence, and found that not only had the ministry not complied, but they had what they had done is implemented the remedies in bad faith, not in good faith. Very serious charge. We don't have that many human rights cases that come back a second time. The tribunal decided that in order to address this, it had to be ministry-wide. The whole ministry had to be a part of the solution.
And what is the function of prisons? One of the functions is supposed to be to protect society. And then on the other hand, it has a rehabilitative function. If you put people in a place where there's this sort of race war, I mean, you see KKK and the word nigger is being used so freely in there. It's not used as freely out here as it is used in there. But if you have young black white, Chinese, Vietnamese, Sri Lankan inmates going in, and they're exposed to this toxicity. I mean, when they come out of there, they're much more angrier than when they went in there. Because what is the impression they come out with? Oh, they're no better than I am. The system is worse than whatever it's saying I'm doing. There's no justice.
What we found is that the individuals who had been found guilty of racism, that they had actually been treated extremely well. And it turns out that their career actually was advanced. So ironically enough, if you raise racism, your career ends. If you're found to be guilty, somehow this workplace supports you, closes ranks, and makes sure that you're taken care of.
A lot of good people end up leaving because certainly work is integrally tied to your quality of life. And I mean, if you're working in an environment where there's racial macro and microaggression, I mean, certainly it has a significant toll on your psyche. I know very strong high achievers who were taken off the radar for a significantly long period, simply because of the toll that racism took on their psyche.
There was a recognition by the courts that they could see something might happen, the potential there for conflict or life-threatening issues might arise. And they gave us the option of going out or staying, and again, we weren't going to take a chance. We have 2 young children, and we were fortunate enough to be off work being paid, but in no way is it a vacation. Every day it's stressful. From 1988 till now, you're talking, it's 18 years, 2 months, over 100 days of hearings, over 700 exhibits. It's a 3rd phase of human rights issues. That is unacceptable, totally unacceptable. But they keep hiring the big lawyers, they foot the legal bills. It's cost millions of dollars of taxpayers' money to fight this, to suppress it.
I think it's a righteous cause that he's going for. It's a lot of people get the misconception that Mike's doing it for himself. And while it may have started with something that was done and or said to him, it's more encompassing than that now. And we're just very proud that he's carried on with it, because I really don't know of anyone else that would have or could have.
I want to go back, definitely. I don't feel that I did anything wrong, and I'm proud that I took this stand now. I had the support of my family, and without the support of my family, I wouldn't be able to see this through. I do want to go back to work to prove a point to them and to others that this is it is a righteous issue, and in Canada. This shouldn't be allowed. Should not be allowed.